My name is Dai Mubai, I am a prince and also a traveler. I want to lead the empire to its peak and unify the continent. I am the emperor, titled Xingluo. Don't lick Bibi Dong, don't follow Tang San, don't worship masters, single female lead 1v1, original fantasy novel disguised as a fan, master abuse is highly toxic, enter with caution, group ID, 102-129-0104, keywords of the novel. The Road of the Great Emperor starting from Douluo with no pop-ups, download the complete works of The Road of the Great Emperor starting from Douluo, and read the latest chapters of The Road of the Great Emperor starting from Douluo. Chapter 1. Crossing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Crossing Douluo Continent, Xingluo Empire, Xingluo City Palace, Yufei Palace. Ah! Ah! The heart-wrenching cries echoed through the entire palace, causing the eunuchs outside the palace to tremble with fear and anxiety, as well as the noblewomen pacing back and forth outside the palace. Someone, call your majesty over. No. When the eunuch was ready to go to the heart-nourishing hall to search for the emperor, the noblewoman shouted again, wait a minute, go call him and he may not come. Don't go, go to the imperial hospital and find someone to come over. No. Just after the eunuch left, a 4 or 5-year-old boy ran over. Grandmother, what's wrong with mother consort? The little boy held onto the legs of the noblewoman and listened to the heart-wrenching sound, feeling very heartbroken. Don't be afraid, Xiaoxiu. Your mother is giving birth to younger brothers and sisters for you, and from now on you will be your brother. The noblewoman bent down and directly picked up the small child, smiling to comfort him. The noblewoman is the most noble woman in this vast imperial palace, the birth mother of the current emperor and empress dowager Xingguan. And the child in her arms is the second son of the current emperor, His Highness Shiyu. Not long after, the heart-wrenching cry disappeared without a trace, and a crisp baby cry came out. Then the door was opened and a stable woman ran out. Empress Yu has given birth to princes and daughters, but has lost too much blood and her life is in danger. What? The Empress Dowager was shocked and panicked, quickly notifying the palace maids to summon the imperial physician. Your Majesty is here. And at this moment, the noblest man of the empire arrived. He waved his hand, avoiding the etiquette of the people around him, and walked quickly towards the palace. Wherever their gaze passed, they all knelt and bowed, while their ears were only filled with the crying of a baby girl and the weak breathing of the person lying next to her. On either side of her, there is a baby, a male baby, and a female baby. The baby boy was quiet, silent, with only the faint tears on his fair and tender cheeks conveying his silent pain and inexplicable sorrow. Unlike male infants, female infants cry loudly, as if announcing their passing to heaven and earth. The weak person in bed sensed the changes around him, struggled to open their eyes, and saw the person they missed day and night. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. She wanted to sit up, but unfortunately she failed. She was too weak, as if the birth of the dragon and phoenix fetus had exhausted all her vitality. She is about to die, even if she is a powerful soul master, she cannot change this fate. Don't move. His name is Dai Xing, and he is the emperor of the Star Luo Empire. He is the most noble man under the gods. Only the imperial emperor in the north can match him in the world, even the pope of the martial soul hall is slightly inferior. At this moment, he saw his beloved consort weak and had already lost his sense of propriety. He quickly sat beside her, delivering his soul power to her, wanting to save her. The imperial physician. Emperor Xingluo was very anxious, and only in front of the woman in front of him would he reveal his true self. He was the emperor of the Star Luo Empire, known for his ruthlessness. He had personally killed many of his own brothers while competing for the throne, but after passing away, he became cold and ruthless. And he is also very powerful. At the age of 30, he is already a soul Douluo and the most powerful soul master under the title Douluo, the martial soul Star Luo White Tiger. Unfortunately, all his efforts now are in vain. He can't save her. Your Majesty, don't waste your soul power. I know my body the best. Don't say anything, I won't allow you to die. You have to live, you can't die. Emperor Xingluo increased his soul power output and wanted to save her. Your Majesty, I only request one thing from you, take care of my child. Empress Yu exhausted all her strength and picked up the babies on both sides, taking them to the side of Emperor Xingluo. After Emperor Xingluo took over the two children, Empress Yu finally lost her last breath. You are. Emperor Xingluo is in great pain. He loved her all his life and died before his eyes, yet he was powerless to save her. What could be more painful than this? At the same time, the baby boy in his arms opened his mouth and let out his first voice in this world. He cried loudly, even louder than his sister. Of course, he was also very sad, as if he understood everything and knew that his biological mother had passed away to give birth to him and his sister. At this moment, the Empress Dowager also ran in with her grandson and a group of people, and the courtiers knelt down directly upon seeing the situation. The second prince, who was still unreasonable, felt the sadness around him and lay beside Empress Yu, crying and shouting. After a long time, Emperor Xingluo stood up, with the last hint of tenderness fading from his eyes, and shouted. Empress Bai Yu was granted the title of Empress Dowager, and the whole country suffered the same loss. He didn't say much, holding two babies in one hand and pulling up his second son with the other. He turned around and walked out of the hall, his back desolate. The news of Empress Yu giving birth to a son and a daughter for the Star Luo Empire spread throughout the world, and the news of her death also spread throughout the entire Star Luo Empire. It's a pity that Bai Douluo died. Yeah, Bai Douluo is the most powerful soul master in our Star Luo Empire. With his own strength, he kicked all the claws and teeth of the martial soul hall out of Star Luo City, shaking the world. But I didn't expect to die like this. At the age of 15, Bai Douluo became famous and spread throughout the world. Afterwards, he made great strides and was invincible throughout his life. At the age of 20, Bai Douluo became a soul Douluo, wielding a Xian Yuan sword and daring to compete with the older generation of strong warriors. At the age of 20.5, he could fight and be titled Douluo. That battle was so dark that it lifted the crisis in Xingluo City, forced the retreat of the martial soul hall, and supported Prince Dai Xing's ascension to the throne. Do you still remember at the end of the battle, Bai Douluo transformed into a golden dragon, and the golden light shone throughout the world, forcing Pope Qinshuan to retreat. The Pope, in order to defeat Bai Douluo, went to great lengths to search the world for a 100,000-year-old soul beast. Could it be that battle that caused Bai Douluo to be seriously injured, leading to his current death? Impossible. After that battle, Bai Douluo officially broke through and became the youngest titled Douluo in the whole continent. How could he have left serious injuries and died? How could Bai Douluo die? Was it because he gave birth to a dragon and phoenix fetus, causing losses in his original source and ultimately disappearing? Don't guess recklessly, soon it will be a national mourning. The whole country mourns and hopes that the spirit of the white jade Douluo in heaven can bless our Star Luo, so that wherever the Star Luo army passes through, it will be our Star Luo territory. Xingning Palace, the sleeping quarters of Empress Dowager Xingwen. At this moment, all three children of Empress Yu are here. The second prince Dai Shiyu was still in inexplicable sadness, while the third prince opened his eyes to gaze at this unfamiliar world. As for the fourth princess, she quieted down and sucked on her wet nurse's milk. At this moment, a eunuch walked in. Named the third Prince Mubai, Dai Mubai, titled as the White Jade King, and granted the land of White Jade County. Named the fourth Princess Lingxian, Dai Lingxian, and conferred the title of Princess Yongle. Dai Mubai. My name is Dai Mubai. The third prince's slightly wrinkled face was covered in confusion and surprise. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Dai Mubai. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 2 Dai Mubai Xingluo Hall, the highest position of Xingluo City, where you can see the full view of Xingluo City. At this moment, Emperor Xingluo Dai Xingzheng is standing here. He had just given his 3 sons and 4 daughters a good name, standing here gazing at the vast and boundless territory of the Starry Empire, lonely and indifferent. Dai Mubai, this can be considered his last bit of tenderness. Martial Soul Hall, Qianshuan disease, I swear to kill you, destroy the Martial Soul Hall, and make all the places illuminated by the stars the land of Star Luo. This is the wish of Dai Xing, the tyrant of the world, and his pursuit for the rest of his life. My name is Dai Mubai. My father is Dai Xing, Emperor of the Star Luo Empire. Do I have another brother named Davis? This is the world of Douluo continent. But my brother's name is not Davis. Dai Mubai allowed the palace maids to clean her body without crying or making any fuss. Just behind the baby's appearance, there is a soul in its 20s from the blue planet hidden. 2 years later. Dai Mubai, who is 2 years old, can be certain that this world is the Douluo continent. He also confirmed his identity as the leader of the Shrek 7 monsters in Douluo continent and the 3rd prince of the Star Luo Empire, Dai Mubai. He does have an older brother named Davis, who is his half-brother. Of course, he also has a second brother named Dai Shiyu, who is of the same father and mother. In addition, he also has a sister named Dai Lingxian, who is a twin sister. This is indeed the Douluo continent, where there are soul beasts and powerful soul masters. Soul masters enhance their soul power through cultivation. When they reach a bottleneck, they hunt soul beasts to obtain soul rings, in order to seek breakthroughs and reach higher levels. I remember Tang San was 3 years younger than me, but I'm only 2 years old now, which means Tang San hasn't been born yet. Now Tang Hao and A Yin are traveling the mainland and have even been noticed by the Martial Soul Hall, hiding everywhere. Dai Mubai wandered in the garden outside the Xingning Hall, occasionally recalling memories deep in his mind. No, this is just a world similar to the novel Douluo continent. After all, novels are illusory, but this world is real. There is a fundamental difference between the novel world and the real world. Everything is real, that is to say, everything is unknown and variable. Fate is not the only certainty. After all, in the world of the novel Douluo continent, Dai Mubai does not have a sister, let alone a twin sister. Dai Mubai ignored the palace maids who were following, walked forward quickly, found a pavilion in the garden, sat down to rest, and continued to meditate. I am currently facing 2 choices. One is to let nature take its course and everything will go according to plan. Perhaps in the future, there is a high possibility of continuing the plot of the novel, becoming the leader of Shrek's 7 monsters, and ultimately becoming the god of war. Another way is to live the life you want, give up the right to inherit the throne, become a carefree prince, take care of the people you care about, travel mountains and rivers, indulge in extravagance, and enjoy life. How to choose? Dai Mubai was lost in thought, his small mouth couldn't help but pout, and his petite and delicate appearance was very cute. He spent a year walking out of the shadow of his biological mother's passing, gradually accepting reality and his identity, and now is the moment when he faces a huge decision. Dai Mubai's deep eyes kept staring at the distant lotus, unable to make up his mind for a moment. If according to the original work, his second brother would die, and he initially did not have the ability to resist the forces within the Star Luo Empire. He even did not know what his twin sister would face. After all, there is no Dai Lingxian in the original world. In the original plot, Dai Mubai's future is bright, although there are some flaws in the early stage. He will become a title Douluo in the future, and he will also obtain the throne as a god of war and gain both love and career benefits. Dai Mubai has gone through life and death since he was born. He cherishes the present time very much, having brothers, sisters, and a loving grandmother. Although the ruthless emperor did not fulfill his father's responsibilities, Dai Mubai still respects him very much. At least, he is truly worthy of the empire, worthy of the royal family, and has ensured their peaceful life now. Dai Mubai occasionally develops different emotions, and the royal family is truly ruthless. He was only 2 years old, but he showed a thoughtful expression, as if pondering a difficult problem, and the palace maids saw it with ease. The third prince, the White Jade King, has extraordinary talent and intelligence. Many of his behaviors are not like ordinary children, and he is simply a born noble. He is a gift from heaven to make up for the Star Luo Empire. The palace maids naturally dared not disturb and allowed Dai Mubai to remain silent. In a daze. Shortly thereafter, a porcelain doll similar to Dai Mubai appeared in the garden, surrounded by a group of palace maids to prevent any possible accidents. "Brother, what are you doing?" The porcelain doll ran towards Dai Mubai while speaking in a milky voice. "Xianer, please run slowly." Upon hearing his sister's voice, Dai Mubai quickly reacted and saw her running towards him. He immediately stood up to greet her. Two porcelain dolls are held together, making it difficult to distinguish them clearly based solely on their appearance. The two are twins, and they are only 2 years old. Although they are siblings, they look similar. Not to mention 100% similarity, there are also 80.9% appearances. If two people wear the same clothes and dress identically, few people can tell the difference. Dai Lingxian is just an ordinary girl who did not have the opportunity to wear Mubai. However, she is also clever and learned to speak and walk early on, although she still speaks with a milky voice. "Brother, many people have come to Anping Hall, including many white-bearded grandfathers and many children like second brother. Xiaoyun said they are going to have some kind of awakening." Dai Lingxian tilted her head and was desperately contemplating what her little maid had said about the awakening of her martial soul, but she was too young to understand. "Oh, listen to them say it's fun. Let's go and have a look." Dai Mubai was surprised. "Are you going to have a martial soul awakening at Anping Hall today? Specially summon the eligible nobles in the Star Luo Imperial City to awaken their martial souls with their second brother. That's called the awakening of martial souls." Dai Mubai looked at the porcelain doll like himself and explained happily. "That's right, what's called martial soul and awakening. It's so fun. Let's go together, okay?" Dai Mubai had no reason or need to refuse, and happily agreed to go together. The little girl was very happy and ran towards the garden, holding her brother's hand. Martial soul awakening. The inherited martial soul of the Star Luo royal family is the white tiger, and most of the royal family is the white tiger. Only a few people will awaken mutated martial souls, but it is also related to the white tiger. I just don't know what kind of martial soul second brother will awaken and how many levels of soul power he will have. Moreover, the Empress Dowager is a powerful title Douluo, and her martial soul may also be passed down to her second brother. I wonder if it will form a twin martial soul. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Heavenly Wave Rewards Diligence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Heavenly Wave Rewards Diligence. Many people. Dai Lingxian broke free from Dai Mubai's hand and ran towards the crowd. Anping Hall, located on the west side of the Imperial Palace, is usually used for communication between courtiers and occasionally holds banquets. Most of the time, it is a martial soul awakening activity planned by the royal family. In addition to awakening members of the royal family, eligible children of nobles and officials from the imperial city will also be summoned to participate in the awakening of martial souls. In Douluo continent, the awakening of martial souls is almost controlled by the Martial Soul Hall. Basically, 90% of people have to go to the exclusive institution of the Martial Soul Hall to awaken their martial souls. Almost everyone can successfully awaken their martial soul, but in a village with hundreds of households, how many people can still possess soul power after successfully awakening their martial soul, even if it is blessed by heaven? Because soul power is the yang spring water that nourishes martial souls, without soul power, martial souls are like decorations, have no effect, and cannot become soul masters. This has also created a super strong position for soul masters in Douluo continent, where the strong are highly respected no matter where they are. In addition, there is also a difference in strength between martial souls, and not all successful awakeners of martial souls can become powerful soul masters. Talent, opportunities, firm willpower, and unremitting efforts are indispensable. See Princess, Prince. The courtiers in the main hall immediately bowed when they saw Dai Mubai and his sister walking in. Dai Mubai is the third prince who was granted the title of king early on. With the title of his mother, by Douluo, by Yuan. Free of charge. Dai Lingxian pretended to be small and even cute. Xianer. Seeing everyone retreat, Dai Shiyu walked up and reached out to stroke his sister's little head, asking, "Why are you here?" "I heard that it's quite fun to awaken spirits and martial arts here, so I brought my brother along." Dai Lingxian doesn't like Dai Shiyu. Although he is her own brother and often gives herself delicious food, she always likes to touch her hair. She moved towards Dai Mubai with a disdainful expression on her face. Dai Shiyu is 6 years old this year, about 1.2 meters tall, much taller than his younger sister who is less than 80 centimeters. He has the physique of a bear child, but has not done anything related to bear children. "I'll take you over and observe the awakening of martial souls up close." Dai Shiyu looked at the central area of the hall, where there were 10 crystal balls, 60 black stones, and 10 people. A crystal ball is a unique thing in this world and a necessary item for awakening martial souls. It can detect the presence of soul power. Black stones are also necessary artifacts for awakening martial souls. And those 10 people, all soul masters, are the guides for these children to awaken their martial souls. Divide into 10 groups according to the head, with each person having 1 ball and 6 stones, among which the stones are arranged in a hexagonal shape. The guide is just a common title. Because almost all soul masters can become guides, as long as soul masters can use their soul power to help children awaken their martial souls, they are guides. In addition, the guide also needs to perform a soul power test on the awakened martial soul. Only with soul power can one become a soul master, and the higher the level of soul power, the stronger the innate conditions. In fact, the awakening of martial souls has already begun. There are many elites and soul masters in the imperial city, which leads to many people having soul power after the awakening of martial souls. Because martial souls can be inherited, most children of soul masters can become soul masters. This is also an objective manifestation of elite gathering. At this moment, there was a little boy standing in front of the Minister of Rites, dressed in simple clothes, which contrasted sharply with the luxurious atmosphere in the main hall. He is the only son of General Li's mansion, Li Tian, while General Li is a commoner-born strong man with a simple family background and refuses luxury. The Minister of Rites, a senior official under the Imperial Ministry of Rites, was very young, around 20 years old, and was one of the guides at the moment. His soul power was fully unleashed, and 6 halos appeared around him, emitting light. Soul Emperor, this 20-something attendant is actually a powerful soul emperor. Dai Mubai nodded secretly, considered a genius. It is extremely difficult for soul masters to cultivate, and improving their soul power by 5 or 6 levels a year is considered a top talent. And as the soul power level increases, it will also become more difficult to go further. Being able to become the soul emperor in his 20s and earning the name of a genius. Don't you see, Qin Ming from Shrek College is just at this level. Relax, don't be afraid, stand inside. The attendant looked at Li Tian and gestured for him to stand in the hexagonal shape. Then, 6 soul powers emanated from him, which were injected into the 6 black stones on the ground. In this instant, a golden glow was released from the 6 stones, forming a pale golden light shield that enveloped Li Tian. These golden dots floated out of the black stones on the ground and into Li Tian's body. Extend your right hand, the attendant immediately reminded. Li Tian quickly extended his right hand and gradually formed a black tang sword on top of it. Sure enough, it's a crazy sword, just like General Li's martial soul. The attendant nodded and thought to himself. The golden light dissipated, and Li Tian looked at the knife in his hand that was even longer than his arm, feeling very pleased. He knew that his father's martial soul was like this. He carefully studied the relevant knowledge and was very clear about the nature and ability of this knife. After joy, he began to try the methods he had learned and quickly incorporated his martial soul into his body. Subsequently, under the control of the attendant, the crystal ball on the side wanted Li Tian to fly over. Li Tian understands that it's time to test soul power. He reached out his hands and placed them on the crystal ball, waiting. After a while, there was no change at all. No soul power. How could it be? A powerful weapon like the Quang Dao actually lacks soul power. The adults around were very shocked. General Li's reputation, which was achieved by killing with a wild knife, is it difficult for him to become a tiger father and a dog son? At a moment of great disappointment, a faint light finally appeared on the crystal ball. Half level, less than 1 level of soul power. The attendant shook his head in disappointment and said, "Let's go down." Li Tian is the only son of General Li's mansion, and of course he understands his own situation and why the people around him are disappointed. He was very discouraged and walked away dejected. What about half-level soul power? If you lack it from birth, you will be replenished from day to day. Heaven rewards diligence, and you can still become a powerful soul master like your father. At the moment when Li Tian was feeling down, Dai Mubai stood up. His small figure, however, emitted a heart-wrenching sound. Yeah, my innate soul power is insufficient, and I can still rely on hard work to cultivate. I can also be as strong as my father. Li Tian instantly understood and looked at the white jade king who had only reached his shoulders, his face full of gratitude. He immediately saluted and thanked, "Thank you, Your Highness, Prince." It was a child's nature, and after thanking him, he ran away directly. The saying, "Heaven rewards diligence," is truly the son of Bibi Dong, possessing great wisdom. Surrounding officials gathered around, feeling sincerely grateful that the empire could have a peerless woman like Bibi Dong. Just among the heads of these transmissions, there is a figure in his 30s, nodding secretly, with a hint of ferocity flashing in the corner of his eyes. Unfortunately, no one noticed. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Golden Dragon Martial Soul. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Golden Dragon Martial Soul. The awakening of the martial soul is still ongoing and cannot stop because of Li Tian. The main leader is still behind. Innate full soul power. A guide exclaimed in shock as he looked at the little girl in front of him. Congratulations, Duke, congratulations, Duke. Miss has awakened the ghost cat, which is a rare innate soul power. With the dazzling light of the crystal ball, everyone in the hall looked at a middle-aged man. His name is Zhu Qin, one of the grand princes of the Star Luo Empire, and also the head of the Zhu family, a wealthy family in the imperial city. At this moment, a long-lost smile appeared on his stiff face. Because his eldest daughter Zhu Zhuyan awakened the ghost cat and triggered the crystal ball to shine brilliantly, surprisingly possessing innate soul power. Zhu Qin quickly arched his hand and saluted his colleagues. Zhu Qin smiled as if he truly had no innate soul power, not worth mentioning, not worth mentioning. His posture made others particularly want to hit him. If it weren't for this being the Anping Hall, and he was still a high-ranking and powerful Grand Duke, he was afraid that he would really be beaten. Not worth mentioning. Innate full soul power is not worth mentioning. Since it's not worth mentioning, why are you laughing? Isn't this recruiting hatred? The Grand Duke is humble. Not only modesty, but also hypocrisy. The so-dot called innate full soul power refers to the soul power level reaching level 10 when the martial soul awakens. It's good for ordinary people to increase their soul power by 5 or 6 levels after 1 year of cultivation, while innate full soul power saves more than a year of time compared to ordinary people. After the awakening of the martial soul, the Zhu family will definitely find a suitable soul beast for Zhu Zhuyun. Once successfully hunted, she will become a level 10 soul master at the age of 6. This soul master refers to the level of soul masters. Generally speaking, the soul power level of newly awakened martial souls is not high, ranging from 0 to 10 levels. These people are called soul masters. Once the soul power reaches level 10 and the first soul ring is obtained, it will advance to become a soul master, with levels such as the great soul master above the soul master. Innate soul power, exclusive to geniuses. Have you not seen that in the nearly century-long history of Douluo continent, there are only a few dozen people with innate soul power? Dai Mubai couldn't help but take a second glance at Zhu Zhuyun. This girl had already developed a beautiful embryo at a young age, and she was destined to be a charming beauty in the future. According to the original work, Zhu Zhuyun and Davis are a pair, standing opposite Dai Mubai, and even conflicts may erupt between them, endangering life and death. It's about the throne, life and death, it's just too ordinary. Even so, Dai Mubai had no intention of killing her or using it for his own benefit. Because Dai Mubai has not yet considered his future path well. Even if he wanted to follow the original path, he wouldn't kill Zhu Zhuyun. After all, who can say clearly about the future? Zhu Zhuyun has not yet harmed him, how can he hold a high position and kill his meritorious deeds? Zhuyun, don't be proud. Soul masters are just the first step in cultivation, and you must not slack off on yourself. Zhu Qin pulled his daughter and was teaching carefully. He shook his eyebrows and continued, when I go back, I will find a suitable soul beast for you. After absorbing the soul ring, you will become a true soul master. Well, it's all up to Dad. Zhu Zhuyun was still young, but he also knew the information of the soul master and was looking forward to the first soul ring he controlled. The innate full soul power is just an interlude, and the awakening of the martial soul continues. After the awakening of the martial souls of the elite children of the imperial city, it is finally the protagonist's turn to awaken the martial souls. Under the guidance of the maid, Dai Shiyu arrived at the center of the main hall, where the original artifacts had been withdrawn, along with the 10 guides, all retreated to one side, except for an elderly man with a white beard standing inside. He is the imperial teacher and the teacher of the current emperor Dai Xing. He will serve as the guide for the prince and awaken his martial soul for Dai Shiyu. Everything remains the same, and the steps for awakening the martial soul remain the same, without any changes due to Dai Shiyu being the prince. But after the golden light enveloped Dai Shiyu, there was no change for a long time. The entire hall fell into an eerie silence. What's going on? Does second brother have a martial soul? Is that why he failed in the struggle for the throne in his childhood and was ultimately killed by Davis? Dai Mubai fell into contemplation and couldn't help but feel a little heavier as he held Dai Lingxuan's hand. In this vast palace, Dai Mubai felt an endless sense of desolation and loneliness, and only his blood ties of the same father and mother gave him a warm feeling. At this moment, he hates the plot of the original work very much because his second brother died in the original work. No, this is a real world, which means everything will change. There is no predetermined fate, even if there is one, I will break it. A faint golden light flashed in Dai Mubai's tender eyes, and a golden dragon flashed past him. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. A majestic and sacred pressure suddenly emerged in the entire hall, and Dai Shiyu's body gradually suspended, emitting a brilliant golden light on him, illuminating the entire hall. Ong! A dragon chant sounded, and the people in the hall felt immense pressure, wanting to pay homage. In the golden light, a newborn 3-clawed golden dragon circled around Dai Shiyu. He possesses an unparalleled aura, overlooking all living beings. The 3-clawed golden dragon emitted a terrifying aura, overflowing from the Anping Hall and covering the entire palace. At this moment, in the heart-nurturing hall, the noblest man of the empire suddenly stood up, and the documents in his hand unconsciously fell. Long Yuer, is that you? Dai Xing gradually fell into contemplation, recalling the unparalleled woman who had defeated all the enemies, and ultimately suffered greatly. In Anping Hall, everyone was intimidated. The immense pressure from the Golden Dragon makes it difficult for these powerful soul masters to see directly. Perhaps due to respect, the weak submit, while the strong remain silent. After a long time, the imperial teacher murmured softly. Indeed, it is the Golden Dragon, the martial soul of the white jade Douluo, and a symbol of her invincibility. Emperor Shi looked up at the child in the air, with tenderness in his eyes. Bibi Dong is the empress and guardian deity of the Star Luo Empire. All the people of the empire admire him. However, Bibi Dong had no father or mother and became famous in Dongning County during his childhood, which was the hometown of the imperial teacher and located to the east of the empire. After Bai Yuer became famous, she followed the imperial teacher to learn and practice martial arts. Emperor Shi can be considered half of her master. And Emperor Shi, who never married in his lifetime, took care of Bai Yuer as carefully as his daughter. Unfortunately, the white-haired person gave the black-haired person away, and the white jade Douluo passed away at a young age. The Golden Dragon flew around Dai Shiyu for a while, but disappeared with a dragon chant. And Dai Shiyu also fell down, he had lost consciousness and passed out in a coma. The Golden Dragon martial soul has terrifying power, and in just a short period of time, it has already consumed all of Dai Shiyu's strength. To wear a crown, one must bear its weight. Dai Shiyu's young body is simply not enough to support Jin Long's long-term existence. Coma is also reasonable. Upon seeing the situation, Emperor Shi quickly caught the second prince and announced the end of the activity before leaving with him. Before everyone could react from the shock, they froze for a while before quickly becoming lively. Blessed by Bibi Dong, blessed by Bibi Dong. However, not everyone is happy, as in the secretive crowd, one person hides the killing intent in their heart. The struggle for the throne in the Star Luo Empire was extremely cruel, and for the sake of his family, he did not want the throne to fall on anyone other than the Grand Prince. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Martial Soul Awakening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Martial Soul Awakening. Brother, what's wrong with brother you? Dai Lingxian tugged at Dai Mubai and anxiously asked. She is a true prodigy, much stronger than the fake Dai Mubai. Although young, he was also very aware of what had happened to his brother Yu, otherwise he wouldn't have been held by that old man with a white beard. You want to call me third brother and brother Yu as second brother. Dai Mubai didn't answer her, took her hand and walked out, not forgetting to correct her way of calling her brother. No, my brother is my brother, and my brother Yu is my brother. I'm not calling him second brother, third brother. The little girl shook Dai Mubai's hand in dissatisfaction, being very persistent towards her brother and brother Yu. No matter how they corrected her, she remained unchanged. Ergu is fine, he fell asleep when he fell asleep. Dai Mubai felt helpless. This was not the first time he had corrected it, but she never listened. Brother Yu, sleepy bug, fell asleep before nap time. The twins left Anping Hall together, followed by a group of palace maids, gradually disappearing into a corner. Being in the royal family, while enjoying power, there are also times when one cannot control oneself. Responsibility is something that cannot be discarded. To live better, one must have stronger strength and greater power. I can no longer be complacent, I must become stronger in order to protect the people and things I care about. The changes in Douluo continent are not as important as those around us. Dai Mubai is determined that no matter how his future develops, he must become stronger in order to control his own destiny and change the fate of those around him. At this moment, Dai Mubai suddenly stopped, with a grim expression on his face. Brother. Dai Lingxian was a bit puzzled. Why did brother stop? She turned around and immediately saw a hint of purple light shining in Dai Mubai's eyes, as well as his painful expression. Brother, what's wrong with you? Dai Lingxian was very anxious and quickly shook Dai Mubai's hand, crying out. Dai Mubai broke free from his sister's hand and hugged his head, as if enduring endless terror. Ah! Dai Mubai's young cries of pain spread throughout the vast sky outside the main hall. He was only 2 years old, and his innocent voice conveyed boundless pain. Why? Why does my head hurt so much? Dai Mubai patted his head, unable to understand what had happened. Your Highness. Your Highness. The sudden situation of Dai Mubai caught the attention of the courtiers who had not yet dispersed. Everyone quickly gathered around, carefully examining Dai Mubai and observing the surroundings, hoping to discover other anomalies. This is the Imperial Palace, the core of Xingluo city. How could anyone dare to come here to assassinate and harm His Royal Highness? They didn't believe it, and indeed did not find any abnormalities. It seems that the situation that happened to His Royal Highness the Second Prince came from himself and was not influenced by the outside world. Get out of here, get out of here. A subordinate quickly opened up a narrow road between numerous officials and respectfully said to the person behind him, Your Highness. Behind him was a nearly 30-year-old man, dressed in white clothes and hair, and wearing a white crown, exuding a graceful and handsome demeanor. See Prince. The courtiers around saw the man and quickly bowed down, respectfully shouting. The person who came was the King of Beihai, a member of the imperial family of the Star Luo Empire. Dai Chen was the brother of Emperor Dai Xing, guarding the vast northern territory for Dai Xing and also guarding the martial Soul Hall, constantly monitoring its movements. At this moment, he unexpectedly left the Beihai prince's mansion without authorization and arrived at the palace. Dai Lingxian doesn't care about what's happening around her. Her eyes are fixed on her brother, gradually turning red, and a sense of anxiety and fear is reflected on her face. The pain that Dai Mubai endured never disappeared, and even intensified. The bone marrow pain gradually made him lose his senses, and even his consciousness became weak. The king of Beihai stepped forward and came directly to Dai Mubai's side. His soul power was instantly released and he was carefully investigating Dai Mubai's situation. Although he has been guarding the north for many years and has never left, he is also aware of what has happened in the palace. I naturally know that the 2 children in front of me are the White Jade King and Princess Yongla of the Star Luo Empire. At this moment, his nephew, the son of the guardian deity of the Star Luo Empire, Bibi Dong, has undergone a sudden change. He must investigate and resolve his crisis. Hello, who are you? What do you want to do? Dai Lingxian looked at the person in front of her, unsure if he had to directly put his hand on his brother's head. How could she agree? Although she is only 2 years old, her hostility towards this unfamiliar person in front of her is not small. Strange, my soul power has been blocked. Can't it enter his mind? The king of Beihai didn't pay attention to Princess Yongla's words, muttering to himself with a puzzled expression. However, he didn't give up and once again released his soul power in an attempt to investigate. The king of Beihai exuded a terrifying aura, with 8 soul rings shining brightly. 8 soul rings. Soul Douluo. He truly deserves to be the king of Beihai, His Majesty's most capable assistant. He broke through before the age of 30 and became a Soul Douluo at level 80. The courtiers around were shocked and soon returned to taking it for granted. The king of Beihai is highly valued by His Majesty the Emperor, and many years ago, he received guidance from the White Jade Douluo. It is natural for him not to become a Soul Douluo. Take the princess away. At the command of the king of Beihai, the maids quickly put aside their trembling and, disregarding Dai Lingxuan's resistance, picked her up and walked away. Subsequently, the momentum on the Beihai king's body became even more majestic, with all 80-level soul power emerging. Based on the intuition of a powerful soul master, the king of Beihai realized that Dai Mubai had a major problem, threatening his consciousness and even his soul. The person that the king of Beihai revered the most in his life was Bibi Dong, and now that her son is facing an inexplicable crisis, he cannot remain indifferent. Scared. The king of Beihai let out a soft sigh and poured his soul power into Dai Mubai, hoping to relieve his crisis. Under the painstaking efforts of the king of Beihai, his soul power finally broke through the inexplicable blockade and came to Dai Mubai's mind. What? How could it be? The king of Beihai was shocked. He even sensed a terrifying force in Dai Mubai's mind. Under the influence of this force, his soul power gradually declined and was eventually forced out of Dai Mubai's mind. Ah! At that moment, Dai Mubai's eyes, which were tightly closed due to pain, suddenly opened. With his loud cry, a purple light flashed by. Subsequently, Dai Mubai's body was uncontrollable and suspended directly, emitting an boundless and terrifying aura on him, as strong as the suppression of the North Sea King. The power on Dai Mubai's body was like a wave of air, washing away one wave after another, and a phantom-emitting purple light appeared on his body. Wu soul. The king of Beihai, with a strong cultivation, withstood the terrifying pressure of heaven and earth and looked up at the sky. On that 2-year-old child, there was actually a martial soul and soul power appearing. How could this be possible? At the moment when the king of Beihai was shocked, a young seedling appeared in Dai Mubai's right hand, emitting a faint purple color. But it just disappeared in an instant. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Unprecedented. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Unprecedented. Is that really a martial soul? The king of Beihai was still in shock, but without waiting for him to observe carefully, the terrifying pressure between heaven and earth disappeared instantly, and the changes that occurred on Dai Mubai also disappeared. Seeing Dai Mubai about to fall to the ground, the king of Beihai jumped up and picked up his nephew. He quickly used his soul power, but could not feel any trace of the martial soul on Dai Mubai. Instead, a powerful force filled his entire meridians. The king of Beihai knows very well that it is soul power. But it was precisely because he was clear that this highly respected North Sea king suddenly lost his sense of propriety. How could it be? Who has soul power without awakening their martial soul? Isn't this common sense and recognized axiom in the soul master world? Brother. Dai Lingxian broke free from the maid's hands and quickly ran towards Dai Mubai. She didn't know what had happened, but the tears on her face indicated her sadness. Girl, your brother is fine, he just fell asleep. The king of Beihai quickly realized, holding the unconscious Dai Mubai with one hand and caressing Dai Lingxuan's small head with the other, speaking gently. Are you asleep? Brother is so lazy, just like brother you. Dai Lingxian didn't like this stranger caressing her head, so she shook off his hand in disgust and looked at her brother with a skeptical and even cute expression. Prince. The surrounding courtiers gathered around and saluted the king of Beihai once again, with most of them looking hesitant to speak. Prince, third prince. One of the men with a cold and stern face stood up, representing the will of many people around him, wanting to inquire about Dai Mubai's situation. Many of them are soul masters. Although they are not as powerful as the North Sea King, they also vaguely sense something, as if the third prince has soul power. They couldn't believe their perception, they thought it was their own illusion. At the age of 2, awaken the martial soul and possess the soul power to suppress them. How could this be possible? The king of Beihai didn't wait for them to finish speaking. His eyes widened and he coldly glanced at everyone, saying, Your Highness, it's okay. By chance, he opened the sea of consciousness and awakened his soul power. Awakened soul power. How could it be? Did we all hear it wrong? Or is it that His Highness the King of Beihai made a slip of the tongue? Has Your Highness awakened his martial soul? Third Prince awakened his martial soul. He is only 2 years old now. A warrior was shocked and couldn't believe that this violated the consensus of soul masters for millions of years. Your Highness San is only 2 years old at best. How could he possibly awaken his martial soul? Another courtier, who appeared to be a scholar, murmured and then seemed to have thought of something, shouting in the noisy crowd, "No, His Royal Highness the Third Prince did not awaken his martial soul. He only awakened his soul power." In the Master's theory, there is an unparalleled genius who possesses soul power without awakening his martial soul. Just awakened soul power. The people around were full of astonishment. "What are you talking nonsense about? How could anyone not awaken their martial soul and instead awaken their soul awakening power first? Chen Feng, in Xingluo city, only you think that waste person is a master. Is it possible that you have seen too much of that so-called master theory and followed that waste person against common sense? Yeah, Chen Feng, that master is just a verbal master. If it weren't for his identity as a member of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family, who would care about his theory? That's right, he himself is a useless soul master, and the martial souls he possesses are also useless martial souls. He only knows how to deceive others with demonic words. You. Upon hearing his colleague's words, the man named Chen Feng had a great atmosphere, but it was also difficult to refute. The current master Yu Xiaojiang is indeed, as they said, useless. Although in his theory, there exists a peerless genius that goes against cognition and can possess soul power before the awakening of the martial soul, there is a consensus in the soul master realm of Douluo continent that people here can only awaken their martial souls at the age of 6 and possess soul power after possessing martial souls. Soul power is the foundation of a soul master and also the standard for measuring the level of cultivation of a soul master. For millions of years, no one has violated this consensus, and no one has ever conducted research in this area. Except for one person, that is the master Yu Xiaojiang. He proposed a conjecture of a peerless genius, which is that before the age of 6, the martial soul had soul power before awakening, and he referred to this soul power as advanced soul power. In his research, this advanced soul power can continuously improve, nourish the body, strengthen the soul, and even play a great role in awakening the super-strong mutated martial soul when the martial soul awakens. Of course, this is only a conjecture of the master Yu Xiaojiang, which has never been verified. Unlike those who mocked the masters, the king of Beihai gave Chen Feng a deep glance and then said, "He is right, Third Prince has only awakened his soul power and has not yet awakened his martial soul." What? Everyone was even more surprised and difficult to accept. How could it be? Is the theory of waste master Yu Xiaojiang correct? Is there really such a peerless genius? The king of Beihai personally spoke, who dares to question what he said? After a while, a general came over and whispered in a low voice. "Is Bibi Dong so rebellious? Her eldest son inherited her rebellious martial soul, and her youngest son violated the consensus of soul masters for millions of years." Upon hearing this, everyone's eyes narrowed, but they no longer questioned. That godlike woman has experienced too many things that violate the consensus of the soul master on her. Her son has awakened his soul power before awakening his martial soul, which seems acceptable. Tianyu Xingluo, Tianyu Xingluo. An elderly man with tears in his eyes was very excited. He raised his hands high and knelt down to bow to the vast sky and earth. White Jade Douluo has been guarding our star Luo for many years, resisting strong enemies externally and cultivating benevolent governance internally, making the empire prosperous and the country peaceful. Now, she has bestowed the last gift to the empire, giving birth to the third prince with extraordinary talent. He suddenly began to believe that the waste master Yu Xiaojiang, who was ridiculed by the world, was really a master. Of course, the main reason is that Yu Xiaojiang's theory first appeared in His Highness the Third Prince, who is the son of Bibi Dong. It's about Bibi Dong. He doesn't need any reason, he firmly believes in the glory of the imperial guardian god, and also believes that His Highness the Third Prince is a peerless genius. Tianyu Xingluo. When everyone heard this, they all bowed to heaven and earth like him, not only to express gratitude for the blessings of the stars, but also to pay homage to the deceased guardian god of the stars. His Royal Highness the Third Prince is exceptionally talented and extraordinary, capable of surpassing his predecessors, leading the empire to its peak and forging legends. Yes, His Royal Highness the Third Prince is by no means an ordinary person. He is the first genius in the world and has possessed soul power without awakening his martial soul. This is unprecedented, unprecedented. The outside world is extremely noisy, but Dai Mubai's sea is exceptionally quiet. Just like at the beginning of chaos, the world was silent, confused, with nothing. Suddenly, a beam of eternal light shone into this dark world, causing a violent reaction in the world. Where is this? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. He lost memory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. He lost memory. Dai Mubai's figure appeared in this chaotic world. He was very confused and at a loss. Who am I? Where am I from? Where am I going? The soul asks 3 questions and hits its true heart. Then a set of scenes flashed before his eyes. He was born with his mother dead, and at the age of 1, he had a warm New Year's banquet with his twin sister Dai Lingxian. He witnessed his second brother's awakening of martial soul at the Anping Palace when he was over 2 years old, and he also experienced an abnormal mutation in himself after leaving. I am Dai Mubai, the third prince and White Jade King of the Star Luo Empire. I reside in the Star Luo Palace. I don't know where I'm going. Where am I going? Where should I go? Why do I exist? Dai Mubai suddenly hugged his head and arched his body, as if enduring immense pain, shouting wildly. My name is Bai Lu. I am an orphan in the capital of China, with a car and a house. I used to have a free and unrestrained life, but I was hit by a car while saving people. Did I die? By the way, I died. It seems that I have traveled. Dai Mubai's innocent face showed a sense of relief, but then the pain from his soul made him scream with heart-wrenching pain. Who the hell am I? Dai Mubai's ferocious face was extremely terrifying. His body leaned back slightly, and suddenly a purple light emanated from his body. This dazzling and noble purple gradually increased, eventually covering the entire space. In this moment, Dai Mubai was bathed in purple light, and the abnormality of his body disappeared without a trace. Dai Mubai likes this state very much. He is bathed in purple light, which seems to have magical power to give him warmth and dispel the darkness deep inside. But it is these lights that make his will wear away, his consciousness become addicted, and the memories of his past life in the depths of the sea gradually become indifferent, to the extent that they may dissipate. I don't know how long it has been, but Dai Mubai slowly stood up. No, what's wrong with my consciousness? I once died, reincarnated and came to Douluo continent. Why are memories of past lives fading away, and why am I gradually forgetting a lot of things? Is this the called Meng Patang or forget river water? But I didn't drink anything, did I? How many dishes are there? Drink like this. Oh, no, Dai Mubai didn't drink anything or eat anything. But he went through a process similar to soul wandering on the path of rebirth, passing by the forgotten river bridge, drinking forgotten river water, and drinking Mengpa soup. The memories in his mind are fading away, he can't even recall the specific details of his past life memories, and even has no impression at all. No, I can't forget, I can't forget. Dai Mubai was struggling desperately. Although he was an orphan in his past life, he was an orphan who had a car and a house in the imperial capital and lived a relatively happy life. There were also sources of his personality, beliefs, and other shaping factors, and he couldn't let his memories dissipate. This is Douluo continent, a world full of strange and bizarre elements. Powerful soul masters can dominate the world with 100 blocks, one person and one soul, and even become gods with endless longevity and immortality. This world is wonderful and dangerous. My greatest capital is not as the crown prince of Star Luo, but as a traveler or reborn. My greatest capital is to have memories of my past life and be familiar with some memories of the novel, Douluo continent. These memories cannot be forgotten, cannot be forgotten. Dai Mubai hugged his head with both hands, trying his best to resist the mysterious power of that indifferent memory. He is well aware that in this dangerous world, past life memories are his greatest asset, and in order to survive better, he must never forget them. With those memories, he will have a prophetic identity, which will help him survive better. Although this world is completely different from the world of the novel Douluo continent, there are also similarities that will provide extremely great help to Dai Mubai. I don't know how long time has passed, but Dai Mubai is still too young and weak, unable to even protect his memories deep in the sea. He has lost his memory. To be precise, he has lost some memories of his past life. He still remembers the Douluo continent, but has forgotten the specific details. He only knows that Tang San has been pushing backwards and practicing the dual deities. But that's okay. Never mind, I am still too weak to be exposed to these mysterious powers. Why am I reborn through time travel? Why are my memories of my past life indifferent? These are not things I can come into contact with right now. There must be a powerful force behind this, far beyond the so called divine realm of Douluo continent. They control the 6 cycles of the heavens and 10,000 realms. How could they not be strong? It's okay, this world will eventually be just a world resembling Douluo continent, everything will change. I can't think according to my past memory, otherwise I don't know how to die. Dai Mubai gradually understood that after trying his best to preserve his personality consciousness and will, he abandoned those less important memories. Not long after, Dai Mubai suddenly stood up and saw a towering tree in the high sky in front of him. This is an ancient and sacred tree, emitting a purple light outwards, even surrounded by a purple halo. The tree is very large, with lush branches and leaves. The branches are brown with a faint purple color, while the leaves are all noble purple with a brilliant feeling. Dai Mubai looked up and wanted to see clearly, but wherever his gaze passed, it was purple and he couldn't see the edges at all. What kind of tree is this? Even towering trees are just like that. Just as Dai Mubai was puzzled, his body also emitted purple light, which surrounded him and slowly lifted him up. What kind of ghost is this? Can light still lift people? Dai Mubai was very scared and puzzled by the sudden situation. He struggled hard, but it was of no use at all, like fish on a chopping board that could only be slaughtered by others. What are you really? What do you want to do to me? Or do you want to take me away? Dai Mubai gave up struggling. It seems that this kind of feeling similar to flying is also quite good, very refreshing, very comfortable. He shouted several times, but ultimately no one or any other life replied to him. It seemed that in this vast world, there were only 2 lives. One is Dai Mubai, and the other is the towering purple tree in front of him. I don't know how long it took, but the light around Dai Mubai finally stopped moving, and his body slowly suspended in the air. What is this? Dai Mubai was surprised to see a tunnel on this towering tree, as if it connected to a wonderful world. Dai Mubai lightly jumped and went straight to the platform in front of the tunnel, carefully examining the magical tree, tunnel, and world. It's unbelievable, is this really true? Or am I currently in a dream? Everything in front of me is my dream, my fantasy. Dai Mubai couldn't believe it. This tree was too huge and mysterious, constantly emitting eerie, noble, and ancient elements. Through this tunnel, Dai Mubai felt the ancient atmosphere, as if on the other side of the tunnel was a magnificent ancient city with an extremely developed ancient civilization. How about going in and taking a look? Dai Mubai couldn't make up his mind. What was inside, what secrets were hidden, and whether there was any danger. He doesn't know anything about this magical world. It can be said that he knows nothing about it. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The First Day. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The First Day. Forget it, I still won't go in. My body is too small now, and my adaptability is almost non-existent. Dai Mubai hesitated for a while, but finally didn't prepare to go in. After all, he was too young and had no strength. If he encounters danger, he has no resistance at all, and he doesn't want to experience the feeling of powerlessness again. This feeling is really too sour and refreshing. Dai Mubai shifted his gaze away from the tunnel entrance and once again examined the platform and the tree over here. The entire platform was formed on the tree, as if it were a huge hole dug out by someone from a book. This tree emits an ancient and mysterious atmosphere, while also radiating strong vitality outward. I don't know how tall it is, how thick it is, or how long it has survived under the purple halo. The majestic vitality shook Dai Mubai immensely. This ancient life was just too dreamy. After being shocked, Dai Mubai turned around and looked at the boundless world. If Dai Mubai could gaze from a distance, he would find that this was a chaotic world, surrounded by a purple halo, supported by a towering tree amidst the boundless darkness. Compared to the entire chaos, this space is too small and insignificant, like dust on a small meteorite under the sea of stars. In fact, this space is very large. At least as far as Dai Mubai is concerned, the spaces he passes by are all supported by purple trees, and he can't see the boundaries at all. Suddenly, an urgent sense of oppression came from the tunnel, with a strong storm of 18 levels blowing head-on. Ah! Dai Mubai's body is too small and lacks strength. How could it possibly block this strong gust of wind, like flying catkins in the air, moving with the wind, being blown off the platform and falling down? I'm only 2 years old, I haven't lived enough yet, I haven't witnessed this magnificent world, I don't want to die. This giant tree is very tall, and Dai Mubai can't see the ground at all. He quickly drops in the air, his speed keeps increasing, and the rustling wind hits him, as if a cold knife is cutting his face, extremely painful. I don't want to die, Dai Mubai shouted, as if he could survive in this way. Suddenly, Dai Mubai's body emitted a strong light, illuminating the entire world. Ah! In a magnificent and quaint bedroom, a 2-year-old child suddenly sat up, panting heavily. Your Highness, you have finally woken up. A palace maid in her teens heard the shouting and quickly ran in. She was pleasantly surprised to see the White Jade King wake up. This young child is Dai Mubai. He suddenly underwent a mutation in front of Anping Hall, passed out, and only now has he woken up. Is that really a dream? But why does it feel so real? Dai Mubai came over slowly, stroking his head with one hand and murmuring to himself. Not long after, Dai Lingxian walked in and saw her brother wake up. She was very happy and lay on top of him, shouting. Brother, you finally woke up from sleep. You're so lazy. You slept for 3 days and 3 nights. I slept for 3 days and 3 nights. Dai Mubai was shocked. He had just woken up and thought he was just unconscious for a while, but he didn't expect it to be 3 whole days and 3 nights. Yeah, otherwise Uncle Chen wouldn't let me call you. How could you have slept for so long? Dai Lingxian spoke arrogantly, feeling very dissatisfied with her brother Dai Mubai's long sleep. He didn't even play with her, how could she be satisfied? Uncle Chen. Dai Mubai is very puzzled. Who is Uncle Chen? Do I know each other? Yes, Uncle Chen. He said he is the younger brother of the father, the king of Beihai. Let's call him Uncle Chen. Dai Lingxian tugged at Dai Mubai, trying to wake him up. After a female official confirmed that Dai Mubai was indeed unharmed, the surrounding maids quickly dressed him and tidied him up. The king of Beihai. Is the father's younger brother the man with white clothes and white hair whom he saw on the day of his coma? Dai Mubai nodded to himself, although he had forgotten many memories of his past life and even greatly weakened his impression of Douluo continent, he was very certain that there was no mention of this North Sea king in Douluo continent. I think this Beihai king, like his mother's Empress Baiyu Douluo Baiyuer, is an important figure that has not been depicted, but actually exists in this real world. And all of these existences made Dai Mubai believe that this world is just a world very similar to Douluo continent, fundamentally different from the illusory world of novels, and this world is real. By the way, brother, they all say you are the first genius in the history of Douluo continent. They say you have violated some common sense of soul masters, and that you will not awaken before the age of 6. After Dai Mubai finished dressing up, Dai Lingxian pulled him and recounted her observations of the past 2 days. Unfortunately, she is too young to have a deep memory of many things. After much contemplation, she still did not expect her brother to possess soul power without awakening his martial soul. She is the unparalleled genius in the master's theory. Because my younger sister's words were too incomplete, Dai Mubai didn't understand very well, like a monk in the second year who couldn't figure it out. The first day. Me. Violating the common sense of soul masters. What common sense? What won't awaken before the age of 6? Martial soul. Have I awakened my martial soul? Do you have it? Dai Mubai is very confused and can't figure it out. Your Highness, the Prince of Beihai said that you have not awakened your martial soul but possess soul power, and are the first genius of the empire. Moreover, the Grand Tutor also said that the Empress Dowager by Douluo, with her extraordinary cultivation and powerful strength, is the guardian god of our Star Luo Empire. You are her son and the undisputed first genius of the Star Luo Empire. The female official beside her saw Dai Mubai's questioning gaze and quickly replied. This White Jade King has an infinitely bright future, and as his close female official, her status also rises with the tide. She is very clear about the source of her identity and status, so naturally she cannot offend her master. Have you gained soul power without awakening your martial soul? A deserving first genius. What the hell? What? What's going on here? What's wrong with this world? Why did I wake up and become different? Dai Mubai became even more confused, but it didn't show on his face, appearing extremely calm. It's like saying, the first day. Is it important? Not worth mentioning. Not worth mentioning. Seeing Dai Mubai's calm expression, the female official was even more shocked. These 3 highnesses, the White Jade King, are truly like experts. Not bad. He is the son of my idol by Douluo. He is so profound and unfathomable that he is not surprised in life. The female official added a lot of things to her mind, completely ignoring the fact that the White Jade King is only 2 years old. In fact, beneath Dai Mubai's calm face, a level 18 storm had already formed deep within him the first day. First day. Is Dai Mubai the first genius in the novel? Absolutely not. Although it can be considered a genius, there is still a long way to go compared to those top talents. His talent is not comparable to Oscar, and even his potential is not comparable to Ma Hongjun, let alone Tang San. How could he possibly be the first genius? Did they make a mistake? Is it difficult to say that this is my talent bonus after crossing time, favored by the heavenly way, and even known by these people, so that I can be said to be the first genius? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Son of Destiny and Human Fortune. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Son of Destiny and Human Fortune. After 2 days of precipitation, Dai Mubai finally believes that he is the first genius. What they said is reasonable and well-founded, and there is even evidence from the master Yu Shaojiang, which Dai Mubai does not want to admit. Of course, he was also very clear that the so-called first genius was the result of flattery from all parties under his own identity. He had only a small portion of soul power without awakening his martial soul, and his mother's identity as White Jade Douluo gave him a great assist. In Dai Mubai's memory, the only memory of the mother, by Yuer, is tenderness. Not long after Dai Mubai was born that day, his mother couldn't live long, and apart from the maternal luster emanating from her, she had no other impression. During his 2 years living in the palace, he always heard news of Bibi Dong. Even if his mother died, she still had great prestige. And Dai Mubai also understood what an extraordinary woman her mother was, the most beautiful woman in the world, truly deserving of it. At the age of 15, Bai Yu'er became famous worldwide for her beauty and talent. At the age of 20, she became a sole Douluo and was also the most powerful person under the title Douluo. Even a level 89 soul master dared not challenge her sharpness. At the age of 20.5, she resisted multiple powerful title Douluo with her own strength, shocking the world in one fell swoop. Since then, she has become the youngest title Douluo in the whole continent. Unfortunately, Dai Mubai ultimately did not enjoy maternal love, and Bai Yu'er, such a powerful and extraordinary woman, still died. Dai Mubai had already seen through the death of his mother and had long let go of it. However, it is still regrettable that I have not been able to enjoy maternal love in this lifetime. Brother, what are you thinking? When Dai Mubai was feeling lost, Dai Lingxian ran over. She was wearing a colorful little dress, like a butterfly in spring, dancing in the garden, very beautiful. Xianer, where did you go? I haven't seen you in the morning, and I haven't come back for lunch. For his twin sister who is closely connected, Dai Mubai has loved her to the bone and is very worried about not seeing her all morning. Brother, I went outside the palace. Yesterday, brother, you obtained that soul ring from the royal hunting park and took me out to play. At that time, brother you was still sleeping, so he didn't disturb you. Dai Lingxuan's face was filled with a smile. The world outside the palace was very exciting, with a variety of strange things that had a fatal attraction to her, so she naturally had a great time playing. Oh, did second brother obtain a soul ring? Dai Mubai was not surprised. After all, Dai Shiyu awakened the martial soul of Empress Bai Douluo, a powerful three-clawed golden dragon with innate soul power. With the support of the royal family, obtaining a soul ring was simply too easy, like drinking water from a fish. I don't know what level of soul ring he has obtained or what kind of soul skills he possesses. Dai Mubai pondered to himself that he had forgotten a lot about the novel Douluo continent, and his memories were also very vague. Among them is the battle between Shrek Academy and Stara Royal Academy in the mainland Elite Soul Master competition. Dai Mubai remembers that his second brother died of failure in the battle for the throne very early on, and how could a powerful soul master who awakened the three-claw golden dragon easily die? This world is real, we cannot blindly copy the plot of the original work. There is no need to delve into those forgotten memories. Without relying on those memories, I may live a more exciting life. Dai Mubai nodded to himself, convinced by his experiences over the past few days that forgetting his memory was correct. Otherwise, in a world that one is familiar with, how can there be any fun? More importantly, this world is not really that illusory novel world. He has always regarded it as a familiar false world. Isn't that self-seeking? Are there not enough crises that one may encounter? Why search for even more terrifying and unknown dangers for oneself? Brother, it's so big outside the palace, there are many people, there are many fun things to do, and there are also many delicious things to eat. Dai Lingxian is a complete foodie, and her greatest pleasure at a young age is eating. The days in the palace are not just about eating, but also about finding food. That's right, do too. Old children need to do other things besides eating and sleeping. Play. Do you have any fun? Dai Mubai is no exception. Influenced by her younger sister and with a desire to enjoy life, she has no resistance to delicious food. He is also someone who has experienced life and death, and has a unique feeling of enjoyment. Oh, can Xianer talk about what she did outside? Dai Mubai picked up his sister's hand and walked towards the Xingning Palace. Dai Mubai and his three sisters were all brought by Empress Dowager Xingguan and personally took care of them, transferring all their love for Bai Douluo to her children. Of course, besides the factor of Bai Douluo, this lady in her 50s also genuinely likes her twin siblings. The Xingning Palace is very large. After all, it is the sleeping quarters of the Empress Dowager, which is more than enough to accommodate 3 children. Outside the red wall, the laughter and joy of the 2 siblings roamed. For Dai Mubai's adult nature, Dai Lingxuan's source of joy is truly childish, but he never showed any impatience. If you love someone, you will naturally love everything about them, including their immaturity and ridicule. What the hell is this? Blue silver grass. Dai Mubai stayed alone in the room, stimulating his soul power, and a young seedling appeared in the palm of his left hand. Isn't blue silver grass blue? Why is my one purple? And why do I have blue silver grass martial soul? Tang San has blue silver grass because of iron, and I have blue silver grass because of what? The explanation doesn't make sense. Dai Mubai was very annoyed, especially about the unknown supernatural events that happened to him. He is the third prince of the Star Luo Empire, and the royal family inherits the martial soul of the Star Luo White Tiger. How could it be related to the blue silver grass? Inherited from his mother like Tang San. Please, don't be funny. Ayin is a 100,000-year-old blue-silver emperor transformed person, and her own martial soul can be passed down to her son. And Bayu Douluo Bayuer, her martial soul is a 5-clawed golden dragon, with no connection to blue-silver grass, and she cannot fight together for 8 lifetimes. How could Dai Mubai possibly have a blue-silver grass martial soul? Is this the protagonist's aura? I stole Tang San's luck, and fate made me awaken the blue-silver grass. But this isn't blue either. Dai Mubai is well aware that he is not an unparalleled genius who possesses soul power without awakening his martial soul as perceived by the outside world. He awakens his martial soul. And the purple seedling in his palm is his martial soul. This cheat is too abnormal. I have the blue-silver grass martial soul for no reason, it's too strange. Am I truly the person of fate, the son of luck? Am I the protagonist of this world? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Heartless Emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Heartless Emperor. Star Luo Palace, Star Luo Hall, a man in white clothes and white hair stands here. You said that the martial soul hall really found the lonely 100,000-year soul beast. Dai Xing stood up suddenly, surprised by the news brought back by his younger brother, the king of Beihai. There are many soul beasts living on the Douluo continent, among which the 100,000-year soul beast is the most, with a long lifespan and extremely powerful strength. The combat power possessed by a 100,000-year-old soul beast is even more powerful than many titled Douluo, and it can be compared to the super Douluo with high soul power levels, which can be said to be not strong. Of course, the entire continent has been stable for many years, and most of the 100,000-year soul beasts live in various human forbidden areas. There is little communication between the two sides, and even Dai Xing has not seen the 100,000-year soul beasts for a long time. This is also the reason why he was shocked. Surprisingly, there will be 100,000-year-old soul beasts wandering on the mainland, which was originally good news. As long as they gather manpower, they can keep this 100,000-year soul beast and have a high chance of obtaining a 100,000-year soul ring, which will inevitably create a powerful soul master. Even if the soul beast resists desperately and fails to obtain the soul ring, it will definitely obtain the soul bone. This is the soul bone produced by the soul beast for 100,000 years, and it will definitely be incredibly strong. Unfortunately, for Dai Xing now, it is very bad news. The martial soul hall is searching the world for a 100,000-year-old soul beast, and he knows the root cause. In the past, Pope Qiang Sunji of the martial soul hall was granted the title of Douluo Zun and suffered a disastrous defeat at the hands of Douluo Bayuer. He wants to seek revenge and shed his former shame, which is why the world is searching for a 100,000-year-old soul beast. Originally, he could not have succeeded because the powerful 100,000-year soul beasts lived in human forbidden areas, and many powerful soul beasts lived in groups. With the temperament of the martial soul hall, it was impossible to provoke soul beasts. It is almost impossible for Pope Qiang Sunji to succeed in searching for a 100,000-year soul beast, but now he has truly found a single 100,000-year soul beast. We can't let him succeed in hunting. Dai Xing only has this idea. Although Douluo has already died, it is impossible for Qian Xuanji to seek a clear resolution of his former shame. However, the hatred between the Martial Soul Hall and the Star Luo Empire is far from over. Even due to the death of Douluo, this hatred was further escalated. How could Dai Xing allow Qian Xuan's illness to become stronger? He is capable of killing 1,000 diseases, how can he increase the difficulty for himself? Your Majesty, the 1,000 Seekers disease in the Martial Soul Hall has gathered manpower to summon 4 elders of the Martial Soul Hall, with a total of 5 titles of Douluo, to hunt down the human Ain, who has been transformed into a soul beast for 100,000 years, to the west of the Martial Soul City. The king of Beihai gazed at his brother, who was even more majestic than before, exuding an imperial aura at all times, ruthless and indifferent, yet extremely powerful. Alas, after Sister Yuer's death, your Majesty has become even more ruthless. The king of Beihai really wanted to change Dai Xing, but he had no choice. He is ultimately just an ordinary person. Even if he holds a heavy army and is a powerful soul warrior, he cannot change the will of the Star Emperor. That's good, only ruthlessness can forge a legend. Perhaps the Starry Empire can become even stronger under His Majesty's command, fearless of any risks and challenges. 100,000 years of soul beast transformation. Is it called Ayin? Dai Xing's merciless eyes flickered with a hint of curiosity, showing no other interest. Yes, according to the news, before Ayin's identity was exposed, she was with the 2 brothers of Haotian's sect and fell in love with Tang Hao. Tang Xiao chose to leave and help the 2 of them. However, soon after, Tang Hao and his wife met the elder of the Martial Soul Hall and were accidentally discovered, which led to the pursuit and killing of Ayin. Now, the 5 major titles of Douluo in the Martial Soul Hall are searching for Tang Hao and his 2 companions, hoping to take Ayin away. The king of Beihai felt His Majesty's merciless gaze, as if being gazed upon by a true dragon above the 9 heavens. He wrinkled his scalp and quickly spoke. The emperor's aura was too terrifying, putting great pressure on the king of Beihai, even though he was the emperor's younger brother. The pressure is immense. Haotian sect. Interesting, Dai Xing chuckled softly, but his facial muscles remained unchanged, like a 1,000-year-old zombie, unchanged. The Haotian sect is the most powerful sect on the Douluo continent. They have the world's most powerful weapon and martial soul. The Haotian hammer. The sect also has top-level experts, ranking first among the top 3 sections. Now that the Martial Soul Hall and Haotian sect are facing each other, this is naturally the result that Dai Xing is willing to see. Dai Xing stopped speaking and stared at the North Sea King with cold and heartless eyes. After a long time, he said. You brought significant news about the Martial Soul Hall, which was a great achievement, but you also left the Beihai Prince's mansion and Longguan City without permission, allowing the northern frontier of the empire to ignore it, which is a great mistake. Your original intention was for the empire, and your merits and demerits were equal. You immediately set off to Longguan City to guard the northern territory and constantly monitor the movements of the Martial Soul Hall. Otherwise, there will be no mercy. The scalp of the king of Beihai is tingling, and this emperor's elder brother has changed too much, becoming even more indifferent and ruthless, which can be described as unpredictable. In the past, in order to compete for the throne, his elder brothers and others were killed without hesitation. Dai Xing's face remained unchanged, merciless to the extreme. Originally, the king of Beihai was meritorious, and he naturally made every effort to leave Longguan City. Everything went smoothly. He was waiting for the reward from His Majesty the Emperor, but unexpectedly, the reward was not received and he almost got punished. His heart was like a roller coaster, with ups and downs, and he eventually stabilized in a low valley. It's really breathtaking. The temperature in the main hall instantly decreased. I know my crime, so I'll take my leave. The king of Beihai's face changed and he immediately knelt down to resign. He returned to the imperial city, firstly for the Martial Soul Hall, and secondly to come back and see the children of Bibi Dong, his own nephew and niece. Now that the goal has been achieved and he has learned that his nephew, Dai Mubai, is the first genius in history, he is even more happy, and his fear of Dai Xing has diminished a bit. Longguan City is located in the eastern part of the Star Luo Empire, close to the martial Seoul City. The Star Luo Empire has a large number of elite legions stationed here, making it the most important military stronghold of the Star Luo Empire besides the Imperial City. Its importance is self-evident. Many years ago, Bai Yuer, the White Jade Douluo, defeated the Martial Soul Hall in the Imperial City, driving all the minions of the Martial Soul Hall out of Xingluo City. Later, Dai Xing ascended the throne and proclaimed himself emperor. At that time, Dai Chen was appointed as the king and stationed in Longguan City. Due to the proximity of the inland sea to the northeast of Longguan City, Beihai, he was appointed as the king of Beihai. The king of Beihai, full name Dai Chen, was once the 13th prince. They have a total of 15 siblings, including 4 princesses and 11 princes. Excluding the married princesses, 7 out of 11 princes have already died, 1 has been exiled to a small island in the southern sea, 1 has been placed under house arrest in the western metal capital, and all 7 of the deceased have been killed by Dai Xing, which is truly cruel. The king of Beihai will not stay, so he will retire and leave. He didn't want to stay any longer, because Emperor Dai Xing really had the ability to take action. Killing 7 brothers was killing, and killing 1 more was not enough. The reason why he survived back then was because of Bibi Dong. She was the only person who could change Dai Xing's will, but now that she has passed away, who else can change the will of the ruthless emperor? Chapter 2, Placing Bowls for Tickets. Brothers, I'm going to work hard. I'm trying to update the code and wait for the shelves to get full attendance. Then I will add some soy egg to my instant noodles. Ali will give them. End of this chapter.